to the 25-20. Carson Crawford 15-10-5. And Carson Crawford runs a little zone read in the middle, fakes the handoff, and goes straight up the middle of the Ed White defense for the Wildcat touchdown. And good evening, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Dependable Heating and Air Conditioning Wildcat Radio Coaches Show. Coming to you live from McClenny, Florida, Mike Cruz, Jackie Baker, and the head coach of the Baker County Wildcats, Coach Kevin Mays, talking Baker County Wildcat football right here on 97.5 WFBB every Monday night from 7 to 8. So stay with us right here for the next hour. Just lock it in to 97.5 and listen to the cool sounds of Mike and Jackie and Coach Mays talking about Wildcat football. No, seriously, Coach, good to be with you here again tonight. How was your weekend?
It was good. We had to make a trip down south real quick, just check on my dad. He seems to be doing a lot better, and got back last night and started prepping and getting all our stuff done. Erica had to drive a little bit so I could watch film on the phone and stuff, but it was a good weekend.
So are you saying it's nonstop film watching?
Nonstop.
All the time. When you're not doing something like seeing your dad for that moment, then you go right back to film watching.
Yep. It was you do that and huddle on the phone, everything makes it easy for us, so we can do it whenever, wherever. Big
win last week for the Wildcats on homecoming night. Got Bishop Kenny at home, 49-7. A big win for the Cats. Cats scored early and often in that game. We'll talk about it in a moment and talk about this week's game coming up. And we might have a Wildcat football player join us in a few moments and talk to him. And it'll just be a good night talking Wildcat football. So we're past homecoming. We got senior night coming up.
We did make it past homecoming. My favorite week. And then we have senior night. And like I said, we do, us as coaches, do a nice meal for just us and the seniors on Wednesday. We'll have them come out, and we cook them a meal, and we get to talk and let them reflect a little bit. And it's always a good night. So we're going to do that Wednesday night, and then get ready for Swanee to come into town Friday.
So out of all that weekend, travel and watching huddle and checking on your dad and everything else, did you get a chance to watch any football this weekend?
Nope.
None at all?
None.
So you didn't get a chance to see the melee between the Gators and the Missouri Tigers, except maybe on replay, huh?
The only thing I saw was Coach come out in a Darth Vader outfit.
or the bar burner between the Kentucky Wildcats and Georgia Bulldogs.
The Boar Fest? I think they said that was the fastest game in SEC history. It was like 2 o'clock, it's over. It started at 12. Crazy. We'll talk about that and more, though, and want to thank Coach John Staples, former Wildcat athletic director, and he's got the new athletic director over here having a night at Coach Staples' house, and we appreciate his hospitality for wanting to welcome the Wildcat Radio Coaches Show here. And I think he cooked us up some spaghetti or something. How's that sound?
Sounds good.
Sounds good to me, too, right? Been waiting to find out when it's coming out of the oven. All right, Coach. Well, this past Friday night, 49-7, Wildcats got a big win, racked up some big yardage against Bishop Kenny. A lot of things went right for the Cats Friday night, and I know Bishop Kenny reeling a little bit. Only a one-win season for them. Talked to some of the folks with Bishop Kenny. I know they struggled a little bit, so there's reasons for that. But all in all, very complete victory for the Cats. We'll talk about that in a moment. Want to welcome in one of the Wildcat players that came and joined us here tonight. Number 68, offensive lineman Ross Crummy. How you doing tonight, Ross?
Good. How about you?
Good, man. Pull that microphone up there. I've known you, Ross, since you were just a baby, man, and now watching you in your senior year playing for the Wildcats, number 68 on the offensive line. What's it like playing in your senior year this year?
It's been real good. We're 7-1. It's been a pretty good year. Having fun with it.
Been a real good year. 7-1. Got a guaranteed playoff game coming up against Panama City Arnold, and then the rest is in your hands, right?
Yes, sir.
The team's hands, your hands, the team's hands. How far we go is dependent upon how the team wants to do from here on out. I mean, and I'm excited about it. 7-1, some big wins we've had. The only blemish on the record is a loss to Bowles, and there's a lot of teams that are going to lose to Bowles this year. I know that doesn't make us any more happy with the fact that we lost to them, but very, very good opponent, very tough opponent to beat. So 7-1 on the year. Cats looking good, rolling. How'd you feel after homecoming?
You know, I knew we were going to roll through them after I watched film last week. So, you know.
I like it. I like it. A little confidence going into that game. Huh?
Yes.
So, and that kind of brings me to a question I wanted to ask you, Ross. So, obviously, Bowles is the one loss we have, but who would you say so far this year has been your hardest competition?
You said besides Bowles?
Well, I mean, if Bowles is it,
it's
definitely Bowles.
Yes.
Big guys down there.
Oh,
huh?
yeah, for sure.
What made them so good? What made them so good?
They were just big, strong, athletic, just different breed over there, you know.
Yeah, no, I understand completely. I've seen you roll some guys up this season, and that Bowles game, it was kind of a stalemate. You know what I mean? It wasn't no rolling going either way.
Yes.
So, Ross, how tall are you now?
I guess you could say 6'3". I'm right at 6'3".
Right at 6'3". Are you taller than your dad?
For sure, yes, sir.
Definitely taller.
Yes, sir.
Your dad spent a lot of years on the radio with me, but before that, we played softball together for years. And actually, I'll tell you a fun fact about your dad that you might not have known. He was actually my JV baseball coach my first year playing junior varsity baseball at the high school.
He never told me that. I didn't know that.
That's a true story. Coach Mixon was the head coach, and David Crummy, which is your dad, he was the assistant coach for my JV baseball team. So that tells you how much older he is than me.
Mike still blames him for not making it to the league.
No, and that leads me to the next question I was going to ask you. When you were young, you played a lot of baseball.
Oh, yeah.
You used to hit the ball good, you did, and your dad, you know, he likes to say that he was a really good football player, but, you know, he was a good baseball player.
He tells me that all the time.
Mm-hmm.
He was a good pitcher.
Yeah, well, he played in college. He was a pitcher. He played over at Florida Community College in Jacksonville and pitched over there. He was a good coach, too. But so what changed for you? When did you decide that you were no longer a baseball guy and you wanted to focus on football?
I think it was right when I went into 6th grade, I'm pretty sure. When I got into middle school, I, decided I had to pick one or the other and focus on that, So I picked football because I like football more than baseball.
It helped out having a middle school team here, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
A long time ago, we didn't have that, so you just had, like, the touchdown club. You played up until you got to middle school, and then you were able to go to high school. So, Jackie, having that middle school program has really helped out with things like that. I mean, I don't know if Ross made the right decision or the wrong decision to play football, but for him, he made the right decision. But those kids get a chance to play football in middle school and then work their way all the way up through the high school program.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, they're starting now as young as 5 years old playing football here in Baker County. So to be able to just continue that trend all the way through, like you said, a very successful middle school program.
Yep.
As long as I can remember, that middle school program's been winning a lot of games, and then move right into a successful high school career. And I enjoy watching it. I know you do too, and Coach Staples has been a big part of that, just watching these guys go all the way through, and then they get to wear that Wildcat jersey finally and become a senior like Ross, and it's finally hit the big time.
Does it still mean a lot? This is something I wondered, when I was at that time when your dad coached me and I was on the junior varsity baseball team, and I got that hat. That was the Baker County baseball hat. Mm-hmm. That meant more to me than anything because as I grew up and I watched, I wanted to be a Wildcat.
Oh, yes.
And once I got there, I mean, do you think kids still think that same way?
For sure, yeah. Yeah, I do, for sure, yes.
I was wondering that, nowadays there's a lot more things for kids to do now, and it's not all, the focus isn't always on necessarily, high school. Football more so, but like in baseball, for example, you got your travel ball and your club teams and things like that people go to, and I just wonder if people still have that same mentality. I want to be a Wildcat when I grow up.
I think we do.
Well, I mean, I tell you, Ross has been a big help with our touchdown club this year. He's come, and he's been one of our play counters down there. I mean, kind of like a celebrity, aren't you? Those kids, they can't focus on the game. They're sitting on the sideline, rather talk to you guys, the high school Wildcats. So, you still see it. You know, those little guys wanting to be big Wildcats one day. And
that's right.
Ross, he's down there signing autographs and stuff, you know, for the little kids. See, big time.
Are they letting you help out with any play calls or anything like that?
No, I mean, I'd actually like to do some stuff like that if you ask me, but
listen, next season,
no,
son, AU's looking for a good O-line coach. So
I'd love to, for sure.
Well, Ross, you got 2 more guaranteed games in your senior year. So, talk to me a little bit about the team and where things are right now. Is the team feeling pretty confident?
I feel like how we played Swanee last year, we should be able to beat them without a problem. If defense shows up, if you ask me. But what's that?
No, we're live here. We can't take commentary.
Don't listen to the peanut gallery.
You can't worry about that.
But yeah, I feel pretty good going into these next 2 weeks. For sure.
Well, I didn't necessarily mean about wins and losses. I just mean, do you think the team is one of the things Jackie and I have been talking about since the Bowls game? We went to West Nassau, then we come back and we play Bishop Kenny, and then we've got Swanee at home. So 3 home games in a row. And that was really a chance for us to kind of rebuild some momentum as the year went on. Do you think the team's feeling that way?
Oh, yes, for sure. Yeah, I agree.
I feel it. I thought the West Nassau game was a solid win, a game that I think that Coach told us last week. We left some points out there. We could have scored some more.
Yeah, we could have did better, but win's a win.
But this past Friday, I think we continued the progression. The momentum's got there, so we continue to roll and go into the Swanee game with some a good Swanee team. They're 6-2 on the year, a Swanee Bulldog team that's played some tough competition, so should be a fun game Friday night.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be a good game for sure.
So Ross, one of the questions I've been asking folks this year that joined us, Chase Cruz joined us this year. We've had Scooby Graham was on last week. We've had some other guys that came and joined us. DeHaven Clark was on a few weeks ago. One of the questions I've been and Carson and Cameron both joined us as well. But one question I've been asking them is when you're at practice and you're facing off against our defense,
yes, sir.
Who's one of the guys that you have to kind of buckle that chin strap a little tighter when you see them coming?
I'd definitely say Camilo Rollins. He's got one of the hardest hitting. He's one of the hardest hitting dudes I know for sure. I hate to run up in the hole and hit him.
Scooby said the same thing.
Yeah, Camilo, he must be laying the lumber. His helmet falls off every time he hits somebody, so maybe he needs to buckle his chin strap a little more.
Camilo has gotten a lot of tackles this year, no doubt about it. This past week we saw some more of that linebacker play. Toby Kinghorn had a big game this past week, and Garrett Kane probably had his best game of the year. I mean, he was all over the place in that Bishop Kenny game for sure. But I'm not surprised by your answer. Camilo Rollins is what I was expecting. Yeah,
I mean, again, just Camilo. That's 2 offensive guys now. So Camilo's bringing the heat in practice. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if we can attribute that to Coach Canaday or Coach Farmer. I mean, he is a linebacker. So.
He's always been a hard hitter.
Yeah. Who do you like to talk trash to out there on the practice field a little bit?
Me and Zane talk a lot of trash. We go at it a lot at practice.
Okay, all right. You ever give it to the defensive coaches a little bit too?
Me and Hank go back and forth.
Okay, yeah, I like it. I mean, is Coach Mays being the offensive guy? I mean, surely y'all get a little advantage out there, don't you?
Oh yeah,
not quite fair.
For sure.
Tell me about your senior year. I mean, how's it going so far? Are you enjoying yourself?
Yeah, I've been enjoying it. It's been going good.
Goes fast, too, though.
Oh, yeah. It's flying by. Unbelievably fast.
Yeah, and I'm just curious, over-under how many people are sitting off of Southern States Nursery Road right now listening to this broadcast?
I'd say probably at least 6 or 7.
At least 6 or 7. Ain't no doubt. I know Aunt Rara, she's listening in. So it's 68 in the program, number 1 in their hearts out there. So
your granny likes to listen too, right?
Including her.
She's listening every week.
Yes, sir.
All right, well, last thing I want to ask you, Ross, when you're not playing football these days, what do you like to do? What do you like to do, Ross? Just tell folks what you like to do when you're not playing football.
Well, when I'm not working, which is most of the time, I like to do a little fishing, hang out with the buddies. That's really about it.
So who's the better bass fisherman, you or your dad?
Me, for sure, 100%.
100%, no doubt.
Even though I would say he taught me everything I know, so.
Well, he would say that, or you would say
No,
that?
I
would say that. Okay.
He always used to tell me you were good to take his rods, and he never saw them again. All his tackle.
No, he likes to say that, but no, that ain't the story. That ain't the case.
Well, man, I like watching you out there, Ross, no doubt about it. Like I said, I've known you since you were a baby, so I'm excited to see you out there playing and doing so well. Go out there and let's get a big win against Swanee, and let's make a run in the playoffs.
Yes, sir.
What's the last thing? What would you like to tell your teammates tonight that's probably listening in?
If any of the defense is listening, I'd tell them, get ready for inside tomorrow. Ready for that AWS whooping.
All right. We'll bleep that out real quick. All right, Ross, I appreciate it, man. Number 68 for the Wildcats, and appreciate you joining us tonight.
No problem, man. Thank you.
I like it.
I like it.
Fire,
Ross has got some confidence.
Yeah, getting ready for the playoffs, and he's not scared of anybody at this point. I'm ready for him, man. I've seen him make so many pancake boxes this year just to run over there and Coach McDonald had the syrup, you know what I mean, and just start drinking right out of the bottle.
Is that what we do?
No, we don't, but I'd like to see it.
Like what Billy Bob from Varsity Blues, eating the pancake and dipping it in the syrup on the way to school. Yeah, that was good. No, that's good. That's a good idea, Jackie. We'll have to send Scott McDonald a text tonight and tell him get the syrup ready over there for the pancakes. Appreciate Ross joining us tonight. We've had a good opportunity to get some Wildcat players on tonight, and I know Ross, he was going to join us a few weeks ago, couldn't make it. I'm glad he joined us tonight, and looking forward to senior night coming up Friday night. I know it's probably going to be a bittersweet moment for a lot of parents, right? You see those seniors walking the field before the game.
I got one.
Yeah, you do.
And Mama's already worried about if she's got some glasses on, because it'll be a moment for her, and and it'll be a moment for obviously for both of us. We get to walk them down, and I'll be lined up first because I like to go down and I like to congratulate all the parents and the players and stuff because it is a big deal.
It is a big
get
deal.
Through there and get acknowledged walking across the field, and it's just another thing that kind of a rite of passage to get through there, and it'll be a good night.
It's a good night. It's even better when the players get a chance like this and they know they've got another week coming up. So it's not necessarily their last game.
No, it's not. And like I said, it's homecoming and senior night are things that you do every year. But I'll be happy to get those over with. So then when it does start the playoffs, that all our distractions are behind us and we can put everything right. Right on that playoff game.
Well, Coach, let's talk about the Bishop Kenny game for a few minutes. I think this is 24 years that I've been on the radio for Baker County, and all of those 24 years we had at least 5 or 6 home games every year. Those transformers on the light poles have been in the same place that entire time, and we've never had a ball strike a transformer and knock the lights out that I can remember. Was that one of the craziest things you've had happen as a coach?
Yeah, I didn't know what had hit. I didn't know what had happened. But yeah, it when that blew, obviously you heard that noise, and then I started scrambling and called some of the administration, and they started calling everyone to make sure we could get FP&L down there to take care of it. And they did they actually did a really good job getting someone down there and fixing it very fast.
I was going to say, so it's about, I don't know, it was maybe 6:05, 6:10.
Mm-hmm.
I'm up in the booth getting ready, putting the equipment together, and I hear a boom, like a cannon went off, and I looked around. We still had power. Everything seemed good. So I was like, well, whatever that was, it didn't go to anything here at the field, it doesn't seem like. So we should be good. And then a few minutes later, Jeremy Hike came up to tell us that knocked the lights out. And I went, oh, so the one transformer that's running the lights is off. And I went down and talked to you. And so I knew at that moment we probably wouldn't be starting right at 7 o'clock. But you're right. FPL got it up, got it running, and I think we were right around 7:15, 7:20 when the game started.
Yeah, FPL came, and they actually, I think, put the fuse back in, and then our school people, Craig Jones and them, they got down there and had to replace something in the box, and, they got there and got it done fast, and, I don't know, I guess we kicked off probably 7:20 or so, we were, you know, it was going across our minds that we might not get the game in.
Yeah,
but,
right. Well,
but to answer your question, no, I have not ever dealt with that.
Well, and so just another added stressor, right? So you've got homecoming going on. You got all this stuff with homecoming festivities. Then you have the lights go out. I mean, was your blood pressure up before the game?
No, because I mean it's part of it. You know it's coming. I mean I wouldn't say your blood pressure is. You just kind of want to get it over with and get to the game part of it, and you know that's the part we worked hard for, and you know we get focused just on that. So I was happy for the game to start. Obviously, the way it started, we were 3 plays and 7-0.
Yeah, well, actually, we saw Bishop Kenny do something that other teams haven't done. They've been deferring and putting us on offense to start the game. And Bishop Kenny came out, and they wanted the ball. So we take them out quickly, and then we get the ball back. And like you say, we score pretty quickly, and we've been doing that all year. I guess on our first drive of every game this year, we've scored.
Yes, and I would. Someone told me a fact. I don't know if it was true or not. I didn't go back and look. They said in the first 13 plays, we scored 4 times. I don't know if that's true or not, but that sounded good. I'll take it.
I mean, it's got to be close. You went 3 plays, the third play.
I know the first 2 we went 3 and 3.
So, yeah, that's got to be pretty close. I mean, heaven forbid sustain a drive, Coach. You know what I mean? Try to put something together.
Brock get mad at me. He'd be over there on the TV trying to coach him up. And I said, Brock, you're up again.
I know. I can't tell you how many times that's happened this season. You know what I mean? I say it on radio. I'm like, Coach Candade's trying to make some adjustments, and then y'all score, and my goodness, then we're stuck watching that mess again for another.
If we're scoring, it's fine. If it's 3 and out, he can be upset at me.
I ain't no doubt. Well, you did a lot of scoring Friday night, and man, that running clock. I love it, Coach. I ain't gonna lie.
I was trying to make up time for the time we missed with the lights out.
You did, trust me.
The refs like it too for some reason.
Well, I know it's not the most important thing that you look at because we've talked about stats this year, and you know you're not really a stats guy, but you earlier. So I just want to throw some stats at you. Even with the run second half, we tallied almost 600 yards of offense, 555 yards the other night. If I'm thinking correctly, that's our highest yardage total of the year for sure.
And we had 3 guys. I mean, I think one was 96, but we had 3 guys that were 100 yards. I've never had that before. That was neat to see.
Yeah, I actually during the broadcast Friday night, I actually alluded to the fact that it was our first game of the season with 2 guys getting over 100 yards because it's been such a year where you've had so many guys just share the rock, so to speak. You know, you might have had one guy per week that got over 100, but most of the time the other guys were around 70, 60, something like that. So good night. Scooby Graham started us off with a 44-yard touchdown run on a run that he pulled away from the defense.
You haven't said that much.
I was going to say, if Scooby's listening, you know, we
give him a hard time about that, but he did. He hit it hard and fast, and it was good to see him get in there and have the game he had.
I guess on the other side of the coin, you want to talk about defense. You know, again, another game where the opposing team only scores outs this year. A few games where 1 score, maybe 2 scores. The only blemish to that was the Bowls game, obviously. So defensively, Bishop Kenny being held to 134 yards. That's good too, right?
Absolutely. Anytime you keep, for high school sports, you keep them under, 200. If you get down into the 150s, that's a good game, especially with the way offenses are nowadays. I mean, even in high school and stuff, these guys spread you out and run it around and RPOs and all that kind of stuff. So that both sides of the ball played really well.
So just some individual stats from the other night. Scooby, obviously the leading ball carrier. He averaged 15 yards a carry Friday night, Coach. He had 134 yards on just 9 carries.
It's not bad, is it?
No, it's great. Jamarian Baker added another 116 yards. He averaged 13 yards a carry. And then through the air, Carson Crawford passing the ball Friday night was 8 of 11, 131 yards, had a touchdown pass again.
He scored 2 rushing touchdowns, too.
And he did. He scored 2 rushing touchdowns. He had 70 yards rushing. So a big night. Cam Smith added another 50 yards. He's averaging 8 yards a pop. So you had a chance to get.
I think Cam he had He had that big catch too.
Yeah, he did. He had a 53-yard catch. He caught one pass, and this week you actually had 6 different receivers catch the ball. I know Brian was able to catch one. Blake caught a pass, and then Tyler Richardson had a big 12-yard catch later in the second half.
Yep. Yeah, and they were giving him a hard time today because he thought he had a chance to score and he slipped.
He did. I thought he went 12 yards. I thought he was going to go 50, and somebody brought him down.
It happens, I mean, Tyler Richardson, though, one of those kids, he does a great job for you out there. I was so surprised the last, and I say surprised. You don't give those guys enough credit sometimes that it's not the guy with the ball in their hands, and not just Tyler Richardson. I mean, Scooby Graham did it a bunch last week, lead blocking, so just the physical style of football that y'all have been able to play, everybody, you score fast, you score a lot of points, but, man, there's a lot of physicality down there, too.
Yeah, we get Scooby out in front. That's one thing people probably don't think that much of him. We get it whenever he's a lead blocker out in front. Watch his guy. His guy usually ends up on his back, Scooby does a good job. But like you said, Tyler and all those guys, they play without the ball in their hand, and we don't. That's been as far as on the offensive side of the ball, that's been one of the great things about this team is none of them are selfish. None of them come back, Coach, I need the ball, I need this, I need that. If it's Cam Smith in there, the young guy, Baker and Scooby are, cheering for him. And J-Mod, if another receiver goes, those guys are all cheering for each other. So it's really nice to be around and see. And you see the same on the defensive side of the ball. They pick each other up when big plays are made, or if they're down on themselves for missing something or something like that, the guys pick them up and tell them to get better, not just yelling at them. And to me, that's a sign of a good team.
Well, then there was a lot of picking up then on that second drive of the game because, my goodness, you would have thought the defensive unit had never seen an RPO or an option play. I mean, it's assignment football. Surely 2 weeks in a row, defensive coordinator would have made all of his adjustments. I'm just kidding. I say all that because Coach Canada's here. So, but
looking at it,
I felt like the defense did a very good job once again. I mean, kind of as many points as you scored. We've also not given up a lot of points this season, and Mike and I talked about it on the radio. The option is not an easy offense to contain. It is a lot of assignments and everybody knowing exactly what they're doing. And we let one slip away from us there. I think it was the second or third drive of Bishop Kenny, but then after that, there was nothing doing for that Bishop Kenny offense.
No, we spent, Brock, I say we, but meaning the defensive guys, they spent a lot of time this week just talking about assignments more than anything else. Just, if you do your job and the guy behind you does their job, we're going to be fine, and having them trust each other that they're going to do the job and not try to make up for someone else, because as soon as they would jump out on another assignment, the ball would come underneath them, and obviously bad things for us. But no, they did a great job this week.
I'm a stat guy, and I look down and I see one of the first things I always look at is first downs in a game. How many first downs did this team get? We had 26 first downs against Bishop Kenny, held them to 12. But I also look at another stat, which is third down conversions. If you're converting on third down, that typically means you're extending a lot of drives and you get a chance to put the ball in the end zone. We were 75% on third down, held Bishop Kenny to 3 of 10 for 30%. So that means you're getting the other team off the field and you're getting a lot of chances with the ball. One other stat that I like to look at is time of possession. With our team, time of possession is not going to tell you much, right? Because
did you look at our punt average?
Hang on, I'll give you that if you give me a second. Let's see, average distance, we were averaging 0, so we didn't have a punt. Yeah, we didn't have a punt. Yeah, good one, Coach.
That was
You caught me for a second because I was trying to remember.
We were talking about that earlier today, so we did not have to punt that game, which was good.
So looking forward to Friday night, and I know we're getting into that a little bit, but I'm just curious because I've been giving Coach Canada a hard time tonight. Were you able to see the picture on Facebook from the Swanee Bulldogs over there? Little jab at Coach Canada.
I did. He showed us a picture of what they put on there. It wasn't beat Baker. It was beat Coach Brock.
Yeah. So if anything else, if something crazy does happen, we'll just blame it on Coach Brock. They're not trying to beat the Wildcats. They're just trying to beat Brock.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about that, Coach. But before we do that, I want to thank. I just want to take a moment and thank our Monday night sponsor, Oscar Gray, Dependable Heating and Air Conditioning, right here in McClenny, over 60 years. Oscar and the family always do a great job. Jackie, on our hayride on Halloween, we always run into Oscar's family, but he's never there. He was up in Georgia again doing some hunting this weekend. So, Oscar, if you're listening in, we appreciate you helping us get this Coach's Show on the air each and every year, and what they do down at Dependable Heating and Air Conditioning. We appreciate them. Let's talk about Suwannee, Coach. I'm glad that all they've got on their mind is Brock. But what are they doing? They're 6-2. Coach Kyler Hall took that team over from Coach Rogers, and they built Suwannee. Obviously, back in the 80s, they had a run of state championships under Coach Pittman back at that time, and Suwannee's always had a great tradition of football. Very much, I like to think of Baker County and Suwannee being kind of very similar, but Suwannee was tough back in those days because they always played Lake City, and they sometimes they'd go play teams like Valdosta, and they were known for some of those really tough football teams they had. And then they went through a period over there where the football was down a little bit, but then as you moved into the modern era, Coach Rogers kind of brought it back over there. They went to 3 or 4 straight playoff appearances, and then he turned that over to Kyler Hall. And Kyler, obviously a guy that came from Live Oak and then played at FSU, and now he's back over there coaching that team. 6-2 on the season. They played some good competition. What are you seeing from Suwannee on the field?
They've gone more to a spread type offense. I don't want to say similar like us because it's not, but they got I don't know the guy's name, number 2. I don't think he was a quarterback last year. I think he was kind of their skill guy last year, but he has developed really well as a quarterback, and he is the focus of what we have to stop. I mean, he's put up out of their offense. I mean, he's 85% of everything they do, and he's a guy that can make a play that we feel like, hey, we got it stopped to a 80-yard touchdown run, or turn around and just throw it deep. He keeps his eyes on the field. So he's I don't know, I'd almost be close to saying maybe the best all-around football player we've played. So up to this point,
and we played some good ones.
Yeah, you just watch him on film. He's electric. So we talked. A lot of our focus today defensively was towards him. They don't formation a ton, so we can, get our defensive plan set for that. They don't defensively, they run. They just have some good, tough kids. I mean, they got, like you said, they got kids similar to what we have, and we'll go out there and run our game plan against them, and hopefully it works out our way.
I mean, so you said they run the spread like us, but I don't think they run it as good as us.
Well, I was thinking they actually go, when I meant that, they actually do go they go a little more 4 wide. They go into empty to get this guy, just get the defense spread out for this guy. They get in the twin set like we do, and I would,
I'm a
we run it pretty good.
Listen, you can sit on here, and this is your show, it's the Coach's Show, and you can coach speak all you want to, and that may be the best player that we face, but this may be the best defense he's faced too, Coach. So.
No. Our guys are, we always want to, have them prepared and ready to go against those guys. But yeah, they're number 2. You'll see. He's pretty good.
Well, like I said, he may be something, but he's not played the defense like so what Baker County is going to bring on Friday night. Hey, I go ahead and tell you, this Coach's Show is nationwide right here. They got a little podcast set up over there in Suwannee. Listen, everything's better in Baker County, I can assure you.
Oh,
I agree.
I think Jackie's just trying to poke the bear just a little bit. So 6-2 though, 6-2. Suwannee coming in on senior night should be good for both of us. I haven't had a chance, Coach, to really examine the playoff bracket. Is there a chance that a final season game for us could turn into us playing them somewhere down the road?
Yes. 3rd round, we could play them again in the 3rd round.
That's what I was wondering. I haven't examined it that far down the bracket. I know that I know that week 2 has us playing a Jacksonville opponent, I believe. But
yeah, if we get by Arnold, like we talked about before, I think it'd be Rains and Westside, the winner of that game. Then it'd be the other side of the bracket has Swanee, Wakulla, Pine Forest, and we'd play one of.
Swanee's already beaten Wakulla, I know, and then Pine Forest.
1-0.
Terry Parker's down there too, I think.
Yeah. So that could just to give Wildcat fans something to think about. That 6-2 Swanee team we play Friday night could be a team that we see later on down as if we're both fortunate enough to.
Well, I've preached to the kids for a little bit now. I mean, the bracket to me sets up good for us if we stay healthy and with a little bit of luck and all the things that go into it, and us, playing up to our potential, we have the opportunity to make a little bit of a run. Because, like I said, to me, it sets up pretty good for us.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of teams on there. We just named a bunch of them that we have played already. So I know a lot of coaches don't like to play the same team twice, but the way that we've played against some of those teams, I don't think I would mind it too much.
Yeah. We'd have to, like I said, go to Ranger Westside that game. And if people want to look at it, they can actually get on FHSA.com, and they can look at the brackets on there. If you go to football and click on brackets, it's all on there already. And, there's actually a couple playing games next week for our bracket. Bishop Kenny.
This week or next week?
This week. There's actually 2 playing games this week. I want to say Westside and Yulee play. And when I said Westside and Rains, I'm just guessing Westside will win that game, and they might not. And then Bishop Kenny plays somebody. I'm not really sure who they play for a playing game to get in, but like I said, it's as far as draws go, I'm happy with the way the playoff draw fell, even though it was a coin flip and all that type of stuff.
Well, it's one of those things that happened in the old format when we took the top 2 teams from each district, and then the way that the first round games went, a lot of times you had your district champion and your runner-up in the same district, especially for us, come back and play each other that second week. And that was always tough because, there was a lot that went into some of those wins. We had a really good win one year against Clay during the regular season and then had to come back and play them in the second round of the state playoffs. And after we had beaten them for the district championship, we had a couple of injuries and ended up losing to them in the second round. Same thing happened against Bishop Kenny. We beat Bishop Kenny one year. They had John Wofford that went off to play quarterback for Wake Forest. Really good quarterback. They had some really good players on that team. Ahmad Fullwood was a receiver they had that went to play for Florida, and they had another guy that went and played receiver for Wake Forest. And we got a really good win against them in the regular season. Turn around second round, we had to play them again, and they beat us in the playoff game. So it happens, and you get to play those teams again. So
we had to do it where I came from. We had to do it almost every year.
Almost every year, same way, right?
District runner-up, we'd end up playing them second time, and bringing up that district stuff. I had some kids ask about it. Well, since we did beat all our district teams, we're going to self-proclaim ourselves district champs this year because some of the kids asked if we'd have a trophy because I guess they want a trophy for their senior year. So I'll buy one so they can have it there at school, and so they got something to come back and obviously feel good about.
Well, I mean, why not? I mean, so the way it's not the players' fault that we had COVID-19 and all the changes that have happened this year. And just to reset that for the folks listening in, this year you don't have a normal district alignment. You've got your all the teams are kind of just lumped into the same region, and we're a part of a region with everybody else, and everybody within that region made the playoffs. So the playoffs will consist of every team in 5A that is playing.
Yeah.
So
you had to elect to be into the playoffs, and there's still, there's some of the schools down south. If you look at the playoff bracket, some of the 5A schools that are down south are not in the playoffs because either they didn't elect to, or the county wasn't letting them,
right,
or whatever. But you had to make that decision a few months ago, or it was in September, I think. So
everybody that elected in got in, but because of that and because of the region play, there are no districts this year. So even though we have teams that would have been in our district, and like Coach May said, we're 4-0 against those teams. So I'm down with you, Coach. We are district champions.
Give the kids something to feel good about.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, why not? I mean, nobody else can claim it.
No, they earned it. You know, we're not giving it to them. They earned it.
Nobody else can claim it. We've beaten everybody that we had to beat, 7-1 on the year, and we would be district champions if it was in that alignment. So I'm with it. So if you make T-shirts, just remember to get a 2X for me.
I will.
We'll talk to the Booster Club president and see if we can work that out. Right?
Yeah, he should be able. He can make that happen. He says.
Yeah, we can find some T-shirts on sale somewhere. Black Friday.
Hate to bother him from eating that pizza he's stuffing in his face over there.
I mean, Coach John Staples, he's just whipping it up left and right, man. He's bringing out dish after dish over here. I'm talking about fine dining.
Well, we're going to talk to him in just a minute. So if you want to take your pizza and let him hold the headset for a minute, I do want to get him in here and talk to him for a minute, if you don't mind.
Well, they're changing that. Let's not forget, I want to give a shout-out to the middle school. Middle school plays tomorrow night, championship game versus Oakleaf. I think they're trying to get everybody to wear a blue shirt. I don't have one, but I'll come there as well, you know, we talked. We're going to try to get all our coaches there tomorrow night and, root those guys on. You know, they could have their perfect season and be, I don't know what the conference name is offhand, but be their conference champs for the year, right?
Crown, maybe the Crown. I'm not sure. Yeah. Coach Roberts, all those guys doing a good job with that team, and I've heard some stories about a couple of the players they've got on there. I've actually got one in my family, Hudson Register. He's a good player on that middle school team, and
6, I think.
Yep.
And he's done a good job, and you know, they got the running back, the quarterback have both done really good jobs. You know, the whole team's been good. I mean, they're fun to watch. They play really hard, and that's, you know, as a high school coach, that's what you want to see, guys that just play hard. You know, they're out there having a good time, winning games.
Well, I'm looking forward to it, and maybe they can bring home that conference championship. I believe, if I heard the story correctly, we already played Oakleaf one time this year.
I want to say it was 6 or 7-0.
We won, right? Yeah, we're undefeated, so.
It was a close game. It'll probably be a good game tomorrow night.
Yeah, another one of those things where you got to play another team. Yeah. But, hey, got to go through them to win the championship. So best of luck to all those Bobcats if you're listening in tonight. Big game tomorrow night for the championship. 6 o'clock, Memorial Stadium, I think.
Pretty sure. Yep, 6. That's what all the other games have been at 6.
And we've got that transformer working because, you know.
No, they got a kicker, too, that can hit
it. Daylight savings time changed things. You know, at 5:45 today, it's dark. How you feel about that, Coach? I know you like to go to sleep early.
I do. I'm an 8 p.m. guy these days.
But a 4 a.m. guy in the morning?
A 4 a.m., yes, sir. The wheels on the bus go round and round.
All right, well, we're going to spend the next few minutes talking to one of my favorite guys, Coach John Staples. Coach John Staples, a legend in Baker County for all the baseball efforts he had as the head coach for the Baker County Wildcats for how many total years, Coach?
10.
10 total years. Two different stints, but 10 total.
Right.
Then he took over, came in. He was actually the.
They fired me the first time around. They figured out that didn't work too well.
I wasn't going to say that.
Well, that didn't work out too well, so they brought the old fella back.
I wasn't going to throw out there that you got fired the first time, but you know, since you did, I think our fire went out, Coach. We'll check on that. Coach, you've made a transition within the community here, so you left the athletic director post a year ago. Coach Mays has taken that over, and you moved over to the bus garage. Talk to us about how things are working with the school buses on a daily basis.
It is, there's more strategy involved over there than I had in 35 years of coaching. So you have 57 routes and 42 drivers. You have to kind of improvise a little bit. So
57 routes in the county.
We're up in the 50s, yeah.
And that extends from.
I'm gonna tell you this though. All my years coaching, I've never seen as much teamwork as we have over there in transportation. People picking up each other's back. It's been nice to see. I'm enjoying it.
Well, I like to get you on the air just because, Coach, you're one of those guys who likes to talk some college football. And
I do.
One of the things that Jackie and I like to do. We have our Farm Bureau halftime segment each week where we talk a little college football. This year.
I want to talk some Swanee Bulldogs, though.
Okay, all right.
Can I get my take in on this?
I'll give you a couple minutes of that. Yeah.
I want somebody here to answer this question. When was the last time Swanee played Baker County in a big game and ever won?
And ever won?
Yeah.
It would be 1989.
1989. Okay. I was just wondering because I knew it was before a lot of these people were born, before some of the coaches were born. They were supposed to pound us last year, and I think we had a running clock last year. I'm not sure. Frank, how many times we run counter on y'all last year? I'm just wondering. 62%, something like that. So I'm just wondering, but honestly, those Swannies had a great year, and they've had a lot of great years until they faced those Wildcats and they turned to garbage. So, I'm looking for Brock to shut those guys down. Maybe one, maybe two scores at best.
Last time we went over there last year, I won a $10 gift card to the Big Wood Barbecue and Grill. I got it right here in my portfolio.
Well, all I noticed, Skinner's going to owe me a whole lot more than that at the Brown Lantern. That's all I'm going to tell you. So,
1989, the Wildcats won our first district championship, if you can believe it, all those years. So in the old days, if you remember, Coach, there was only one team from each district that was able to go to the playoffs. So
right.
You had to win the district to go to the playoffs. And so we played always. Baker County's played a very tough brand of football, but it was not until 1989 that we actually won our first district championship and went to the state playoffs. Well, we got a big win in round one against Zephyr Hills. Zephyr Hills came up from the Tampa area, and we beat them in round one in 89. And then round two, we had to go to Suwanee. And they were coming off of, I want to say, at that time, it might have been 3 straight state championships. And so they went on in 89 to win the state championship that year, I believe, to make it 4 in a row that they won. And that was a tough one for us. So that I think that would be 89 would be the last time.
And if you remember, let's go back to baseball. You brought up baseball.
Yep.
06, Suwanee came over here in the district, 28-1. You were the announcer for that game.
I was.
And 28-1, Suwanee came in here to play the Wildcats. And Ronnie Gray went from head coach into administration 1 hour after that game.
And tell everybody why, Coach.
Well, the Cats hoisted up that district trophy. That's all I know.
I remember that. I got a T-shirt for that.
Who was our head coach?
Yeah. John, you don't know?
No.
Yeah. That 06 team, that's back in my memory now. Refresh me on some of those
That
players.
was the year we had Dutch Dalton come out and throw the first pitch for the playoff game.
I'll never forget it.
Your hero.
Never forget it.
Phillies fan, we had Dutch Dalton up. Him and my brother Jeff came up, and
They did.
That was a big night.
They did.
We had that place packed out that night.
That was a huge night for me because 93 was when the Phillies went to the World Series with Dalton, but he later went on to win a World Series with the Marlins, if you remember that.
Yes, absolutely.
But, yeah, Darren Dalton, the late.
And if you remember that night, he told us he did not call that fastball that Mitch Williams threw to Joe Carter.
He did tell us that. He actually, most people that are listening have no idea who we're talking about, but Darren Dalton was a catcher for the Phillies. He went on to play with the Marlins, and he was right there.
Five-time All-Star.
Five-time All-Star. Just a great player on that Phillies team and went on to play with the Marlins. But you're right, Coach. He threw out the first pitch, and then he came up and spent maybe an inning and a half with me up in the press box up there, and I got a chance.
That's just the kind of dude he was.
He signed my hat.
Absolutely.
We talked for a while. Yeah, that was a great night, and I tell you what, that was a good Wildcat baseball team. You had several.
Yes. We I've had some great baseball players come through this town, and they're soldiers. You know, they knew how to go about it, and they got after it and beat a lot of teams that maybe had more talent than them, but they were nasty dudes.
Did you were pulling obviously for the Rays to win the World Series this year, right?
I was. After the Yankees, the Rays are my team.
But that Dodger team was pretty good.
Yeah, but man, how they should have never been there.
Well, the Braves had them 3-1.
Yeah. And then.
But when the Red Sox won their first one, they came back from 3-0. So you got to win that fourth one.
Right. And my son's a single guy, and I told him the new pickup line, is to say, hey, I heard you threw 73 pitches. I'm ready to take you out. So.
Bad call.
Yeah. I'm going to tell you this. Kevin Cash is the best manager in baseball right now. He made the worst call of the decade.
That was tough. You can always second guess coaching. You can always second guess coaching.
I do that with Mays every week. You know what I mean?
Well, there's so many. If you ever follow Twitter, there's so many Monday morning quarterbacks out there now that you can second guess a lot of things, but it's pretty obvious. And Kevin Cash, I don't know if the moment got to him or what. That was a tough call.
I guess supposedly that's been their MO all year. I don't understand. I was a ride or die with the guy I started, so I don't know. Maybe that was his thing. So,
well, on that particular night, he was throwing a great game. Gave up a couple hits, got that one, and I guess it was the 6th or 7th inning when he pulled him. But 73 pitches. That was tough.
Right.
That was tough. But the Rays got a good team. They'll probably be back. Coach, good talking to you, man. So tell me.
I love you guys being here. This is a great night, and I love talking football. Love hanging with you guys, and Coach Mays has got it going on right now. If you hadn't been to a Wildcat game, you need to get out here.
My question is, for the playoffs, can we get a guest coach appearance for Pump Block?
Well, I mean,
I know that's a busy time for you.
I'll tell you this. I'll tell you what. I'll come out as a guest appearance for Punt Block if you'll give number 5 the rock 30 times this Friday night. Just hand it to him 30 times, and I'll be there the first playoff game.
Not all of them, just five got to get it.
Yeah, I love that dude, man. He's a warrior.
Counter left, right.
Yeah, there we go. Frank, counter. Here comes the counter.
We had Scooby Graham on the show last week, and I love Scooby Graham being around. He'll be walking on senior night this week.
He will. He'll be.
Yep.
They all.
And by the way, I want to talk about Ross talking about Camilo being there. Obviously, I guess, he lines up at tackle. He hadn't moved down inside and had Wes Aver come at him because Wes just eats dudes alive. There's nobody at practice that wants to line up against that dude.
Jackie made the comment the other night that if Wes gets his hands on you, you're not going anywhere because he's had a great year. And his little brother came in the other night in the fourth quarter and got a quarterback sack.
Yep, he's going to be a good player too.
Yeah, so those two Aver brothers getting it done. And you're right, Coach. You're right. I guess they don't think about the lineman too much, but Camilo gets a lot of the credit because, man, he does lay the.
That dude can thump. There's no doubt he can thump, but it all starts down inside with the big fella. I mean, that's one of my dudes from last year, and him and Zane and Cade, those guys, man. They're what it's all about.
People that watch football, though, the DNs are always, the Zane Mobleys and Richardsons, they're the guys that everybody's always watching. Nobody's ever really paying attention to what happens in there. John Henderson.
But look, every time there's a goal line stand or a 4th and short,
absolutely,
Wes Aver's a dude stuffing the play,
And we've had a bunch of those this year. We had 2 in a row against Terry Parker. The next week against West Nassau had another one inside the 5. I mean, the defense has done that all year long, but
how about Ronnie Ellis last week? Ronnie, I thought you were bringing a pillow and a blanket, taking a nap every game. Last week, dude showed up and made 30 tackles last week.
He did. We moved him down a little bit,
man,
a little closer to the ball, and he did a good job.
He was hitting like his daddy, Big Ronnie. Ronnie Jr. was hitting like Big Ronnie the other night.
I was wanting to get Coach Harry's thoughts on Alabama then, because I hear so much about it.
We were headed there.
Hank, Hank's a big Pittsburgh fan now, Coach. Did you know that?
Yeah, Pittsburgh, Alabama, UCLA basketball when Wooden was there.
Well, I kind of think of Staples the same way. He's a Gator unless he's for Alabama. And it's
you guys know the story there. I'm a lifelong Alabama fan.
I do.
When little Todd went down there, I started going to games and pulling for the Gators. And CC was there. I pulled for the Gators. I got a great CC story, but I it takes a little time, so I'll save it. When y'all bring me on next week, I'll save it for then. So.
Well, it's shaping up. It's shaping up. I know Trevor Lawrence, unfortunately for Clemson, had to be out for a week, and we'll see if they can get past Notre Dame without him this coming week. But it's shaping up again to be another Clemson-Alabama story at the end of this year. How do you see that one playing out?
I think Waddle hurt being out, but he is not gonna change the complexion of anything they're going to do this year win-loss wise. I really don't think. I mean, you plug in Devontae Smith, he's got 205 yards. Mississippi State had 200 yards total all night. So and Najee Harris is just phenomenal. Bama's just bad. This might be one of their best teams ever, and Mac Jones is playing like Carson Crawford's playing. You know what I mean?
I was going to say maybe the biggest story is Mac Jones.
Yeah, he's a dude, man. He's a dude. He's a winner, like Carson. I mean, people didn't talk a lot about Mac Jones for the year, and now last time I saw Mac Jones play before Bama was he played Coco in the state championship game. Coco beat him 49-10. I said, Bama's signing this dude. And then all of a sudden, here he is. He's the best quarterback in the nation after Trevor Lawrence, who might be the best quarterback of all time in college.
I was going to ask you because nobody talked about Mac Jones, and a lot of the Alabama fans that I talked to were kind of like, I don't know, we'll see,
Right.
And he's turned into be
so many people were selling him out for Bryce Young, and that's not even close.
So we'll see how it plays out. Florida, Georgia this week. Who you got?
I got to take the Gators in this. I think the Georgia quarterback's garbage, man. He's trash.
Is there any thought in your mind that maybe, just maybe, the conservative game plan Georgia had this past week against Kentucky was to hide the fact that they've been
absolutely not? They're not good enough to do that.
I was wondering.
They are not good enough to do that. I'm going to tell you this, though. What worries me is Georgia's defense is very strong, very physical. Florida's going to have to run the ball. Can their offensive line match up and get it done against Georgia?
And what do you say, Coach Mays?
Oh, I have to go with the Gators. There's not many teams I dislike more than Georgia.
A lot of Georgia fans have said if Mullen loses 4 in a row to Georgia, he's on the hot seat. You believe that?
Absolutely not. I think Dan Mullen was the best hire they could get. I think he's a shade below Urban Meyer. I thought Urban Meyer was a great coach. I still do. A lot of people are bitter at him because he left, but he's a good ball coach.
You take all the. I've asked other people this, but you're a smart guy, so I want to ask you this question. And Coach Mays and I have talked about this year.
Can we get my wife out here to hear that last comment?
I've said several times this year that you got to kind of put an asterisk beside this season because of the way games are being played.
Absolutely.
There's records being broken, and defense is not. If you look around the country, it's not just the SEC. Defensive play is not what it has been in years past, and I think that has a lot to do with the way that they've had to practice and get ready for the season. But the crowd, I'm going to say this. I was listening to a couple of guys yesterday, and they finally got on board with what I was saying when the season started. You take a stadium like the Swamp that you can get 90,000 people in there, and defense for sure feeds off the intensity and the energy that the crowd brings. I'm telling you, the games would be different if the stadiums were packed.
I'm going to say this, though, and I think it's true in high school with the changes that are made this year. I think it's true with college, the way the changes are made this year. You're still going to get the 4 best teams. No matter how you set it up, you're still going to get the 4 best teams in the end.
I would agree with that.
Yeah, I mean,
everybody still has to play the game.
I think it's a good point. That energy, and I like to see defensive football, and when you're watching SEC games, you like to see it. But, man, guys are just breaking. Kyle Trask has 18 touchdown passes in 4 games through the SEC.
Right.
Do you realize that's never happened in the history of SEC football ever?
I was going to say the only thing I would disagree with what Coach Staples said was if a team has the wrong dudes get quarantined, like this weekend, like this weekend with Clemson. I mean, with Trevor Lawrence, it's not a game. Now it might be.
But in the end, they the best team won.
Yeah.
I mean, and
Trevor Lawrence.
How valuable
Trevor
is
Lawrence
that?
is about the only one.
Exactly. If Bama loses Mac Jones to quarantine, they're in trouble. And I'm still waiting to hear back from the Swanee Health Department. I spent a lot of time over there this weekend with 4 of their best players, and I'm waiting to hear back from them on the quarantine thing. So,
well, Coach, as always, it's a pleasure having you here. I know I took Jackie's thunder for the last 10 or 15 minutes talking to you, but I think he'll be all right. But I really do appreciate you joining us tonight. Coach Mays, coming up Friday night, I've said this to you before, the high school season starts, and then before you know it, the high school season ends. I mean, it's like a blink of an eye, right?
Really. If the playoffs weren't guaranteed, it'd be four days of football left for us. I mean,
isn't it crazy?
It's been fast. So, and you try to tell these guys, I said it again today, for 16 of you, you have 2 games left. Guaranteed 2 games left for 16 of you out here. And hopefully it hits home with them.
I think Friday or Thursday you should do like they did in the movie Rudy. Give them all a chance to come hit that pad one last time,
Let them pick who they want.
Well, Coach, it's been good talking to you tonight. Best of luck Friday night against Swanee. The Bulldogs come to town. Nothing better than to go 8-1 on the season and then have a playoff game next week. But the Wildcats are guaranteed that playoff game next week. So best of luck this week on senior night, and congratulations to you for Brian. Look forward to the game.
Thank you,
sir.
And I just let everybody know I've been sitting down with Katie Kennedy, our bookkeeper, and we'll have a plan for playoff tickets.
Playoff tickets.
Week.
Okay.
We'll have it. We'll get that out to everyone. I don't know. I think I know what we're doing, but I don't want to say anything just yet in case I'm wrong.
Okay.
Katie's the boss lady when it comes to that. So.
Well, we'll get that information out to them next Monday night on the show, Coach. We'll be back here next Monday night. We'll have another Dependable Heating and Air Conditioning Coaches show next Monday. And best of luck this Friday night, the Wildcat Senior Night, and best of luck to the Bobcats tomorrow night. And before we go, just want to thank my man John Meadows over at Glen Baptist Church and for putting up with us for an hour on Monday nights, and appreciate everything he does for us. So we'll talk to you Friday night from Memorial Stadium. We'll be on the air about 6:50. Game starts at 7 against the Swanee Bulldogs. 6-2 Bulldogs coming to face the 7-1 Wildcats. It's going to be a good one. So good night, everybody. We'll talk to you Friday night.